I think it's the whole family value to him, their family. It's always, is it fair? What is the right thing to do, as you just mentioned? And I have had the privilege of talking to Bill from time to time, not because he seeks advice, really, just because we like to talk about things. I think he's been able to do an outstanding job getting started. I saw an email, Bill, that y'all sent out the other day. Somebody sent out saying Bill Haslam delivers, and you really have delivered for our state. And we thank you very much for agreeing to be our governor. Thank you very, very much. Well, Bill's really got a common touch and down to earth, and we traveled the state today, and I know we both smell like diesel. We've been in a helicopter all day long, and we got here to the Memphis airport, one of my most favorite places in the world. I won't go into the history of that, but a great episode occurred there several years ago that I really enjoyed. But anyway, I love coming into Wilson. And so we landed, and we obviously had pretty muddy clothes on, and going into the bathroom, and we were both in there changing, wiping mud off our shoes, and these two very distinguished pilots came in, and Bill and I do work together sometimes on economic development issues, and every now and then he'll ask me to make a call on behalf of the state, which I love doing, especially to CEOs who might be out of the country. But anyway, these two guys walked in, and I noticed they were looking at us, and I went out in the lobby, and I heard one of the pilots say, who are those two cornballs? Changing clothes in the men's room, getting mud. I know, well, that's our governor, our US Senator. Listen to Gary and Kim. To Brian and Kim. I very much appreciate your willingness to lead this effort, and all the folks we've gotten together to host. I've loved working with First Tennessee on so many issues. I think that all of you know I'm on the banking committee, and it's ended up being my wheelhouse. It's a place where I've been able to make a lot of difference. There are a lot of people in this audience that have been a part of making sure that we understand the issues and deal with them in a way that really takes into light not only the regulatory issues that appropriately need to be dealt with, but also how it affects business. And Brian, ever since he's taken over the company, has always answered questions from me based on really what's right for the industry and what's right for the country. And I appreciate that. I know you came in First Tennessee under really difficult times. I think everybody appreciates the way that you handled yourself, and I greatly appreciate both of you opening your home to help us the way you have. We thank you very much. So look, because of this unbelievable turnout and the help of all of you tonight, I was down at Nashville Deli last week in Nashville, and I was walking out, had an early morning breakfast, and I bumped into John J. Hooker. Many of y'all know John J. Hooker. People in West Tennessee know who John J. Hooker is. Anyway, John J. Hooker comes up to me in the restaurant, and he says, "Corker, I'm hearing about incredible support that you have out in West Tennessee. I know you had a great event here in Nashville, and I've been watching you now for a good while, and I'm talking to people who are helping you, people that I really respect, and I just want to tell you one thing. I'm going to give you the greatest compliment that I have ever given any political figure. I am not going to run again." I thank all of you very, very much for building this kind of support. Obviously, look, I like to be edgy, right? And I like to be out on the edge, and many of you have talked to me about the kind of service that I've provided. And I do like to make a difference. And candidly, Bill was talking a little bit about serving as governor, which he does such a great job of doing. Serving in the Senate is something very different. It's a legislative job. I look around at many of you, and I've had a life that's very similar to many of you who have been able to build things, and hire folks, and accomplish things, and there's an adrenaline flow that comes with that. And candidly, serving in the Senate is not always that way. As a matter of fact, after after spending a year working on financial regulation and seeing how when a bill comes to the floor, sometimes politics can overcome substance, all of a sudden, when you work for a year wishing that you knew more about the topic and waking up every day hoping that you're not creating any kind of unintended consequences, and then you see what happens to a piece of legislation. Candidly, I went around the state. Some of you didn't even know that I was doing this when I came to see you. But I had to ask myself, is serving in the Senate worth a grown man's time? And it's a serious question. I mean, I'm 58 years old. As Bill mentioned, when you begin to run, it takes 2 years to do that, and people elect you, then it's 6 years. The next thing you know, you're 66 years old. And so, you know, for all of us as productive citizens, we have to think seriously, especially at this age, really, you know, how we want to end our career and can we make enough difference doing that. And after thinking about it a long time and talking about the consequences and sort of where we are as a country, talking to my family, I decided to try to do it again. And the kind of support that y'all have given tonight so easily, really makes it a blessing to try to do it again. And it makes it something that you feel so much more comfortable doing. I now, I will say, have probably more adrenaline flowing about this job than I have had in 4.5 years, because I believe we have such an awesome opportunity, especially over the next 70 days. 2 weeks ago, y'all watched as the country and the media in particular focused on the fact that maybe we would shut the country down over something called a continuing resolution. And most of you have normal lives and families to raise and jobs to go to. A continuing resolution is basically funding government for the rest of the year. In other words, this year we were doing last year's business. And we were basically in the beginning fighting over probably $8 billion in total. I think most of you know we're spending $4.1 billion a day that we don't have. So this whole negotiation that everybody was focused on was over 2 days. 2 days worth of deficit spending. We're taking in $2.2 trillion and we're spending $3.7 trillion. So basically what you saw 2 weeks ago literally was powder puff. I mean, it was like nothing. Okay, but I think we made it through that gauntlet, if you will, fairly credibly. Now it is showtime. Okay, we've got a debt ceiling vote that's coming up. The Treasury Secretary has said we have to do something between now and July the 1st, probably July the 1st, maybe a week or two later. And we are one of the few countries in the world where Congress actually has to vote on a debt ceiling increase. And a lot of people would say that it's irresponsible not to vote for a debt ceiling increase because the money's already been spent. It's like running up a credit card tab and not paying the bill. After being 4 years in Washington, 4 years and 3 months, maybe a little longer, I've come to the conclusion that it's irresponsible not to be responsible prior to a debt ceiling vote. And I've been working for about 9 or 10 months to try to make sure that Tennesseans understand where we are as a country. For Tennesseans to understand that all of us are going to have to be involved in the types of spending reductions that need to take place to get our country back on track. And I've introduced something called the CAP Act. And I'm not a messaging kind of center. I actually want to do something about it. And so I've had Joe Lieberman join me last week, Claire McCaskill, Joe Manchin, 3 Democrats on the other side. Jim Cooper has introduced it in the House with Jimmy Duncan. And let me just say this, it is it's a 10-page bill that takes us from spending where we are today relative to our economic output of 24.5% down to our 40-year average over 10 years with tough medicine if we don't get there. It's the kind of thing that I think can change the direction of our country, and there's a lot of momentum for it. And I just want to say again, we have an opportunity with something like this or some other mechanism truly to change the trajectory in this country. It's the #1 threat to our country. I thank you for allowing me to be involved in things like this that can make that kind of difference, not only in your life, but in the country's life. And with that, let me just stop. I really believe that I really believe that we have a chance to change the direction of this country. You've given me that opportunity. This campaign is going to be about being a senator, not being a politician. You allow me to serve without worrying about looking over my shoulder for the next year and a half, and I appreciate the opportunity to be able to do that. Thank you very much.